Welcome back to the Mid-Year YouTube channel. In today's episode, I drug out some new projects from the boneyard, and I'm going to give you guys the plan for 2023. So be sure to stick around. So I'm fired up. The scalp split is finally done. It's ready to go home. So now that it's leaving this week, I'm gonna have a freed up birdcage jig, which means I get to pick a couple of these projects to drag out of the boneyard. I'm gonna drag out my 67 coupe, which I've been gathering parts for, and then this rusty 65 Roadster. I literally have to dig that one out. So those two are coming out. I'm gonna work on building the bird cages of those and, obviously doing fiberglass work. And I have parts scattered everywhere for these things, including a front end back here. But now I have to go to my townhouse to grab the rest of the parts. And then for the rest of the year, I also have the 67 Camaro to work on and Averys 68 Corvette. That'll be in like the last quarter of the year or so. So in my overflow junkyard here, I have plenty of parts that I'm gonna bring back. I have a front end for the 65. I have a cowl, hood, pair of doors for my 67. I have a dash for one of the cars, rear clip for the 65, several doors that I can use for the 65, a convertible top, core support, and then this is for a 66 here. So I have plenty of parts scattered around here, so I'm gonna start loading these dudes up and get them shipped back to the shop, and we can start mocking up some of these cars. So I have big plans for the Camaro. My dad's been doing body work on it, getting some stuff knocked out while he was waiting for me to finish up the scalp split. But now this car is ready to get a new quarter panel. We're gonna bite the bullet, put a full quarter on it. We're gonna put a new rocker on it. It needs a new roof skin because when this car was hit, it put a good sized crease in here. My dad tried to work that out, but the metal's just too far, misshapen. All the shapes out of it, it's got a huge flat spot in it. He got a lot of the dents out of it, but the shape is just gone. So, which is unfortunate because I replaced a lot of these rails. It was good practice, but the roof skin has to come off, the quarter has to come off. We have a quarter here and the roof skin back there. And then I also need to put in a partial trunk floor. The lower portion of it is just full pinholes and stuff. So I'm just gonna cut this one out along there. It's gonna be a mile of welding, but I think it'll be really clean when it's done and you won't be able to tell that I replaced just the center section of it. So this thing's gonna get quite a bit of metal work. I'm gonna start off by knocking a lot of the ugly off of this thing, bracing up the inside to do the quarter. And once I'm happy with that, I'll take the rocker out. That's gonna be a big job. So I did a lot of shuffling around, completely moved the junkyard around, moved the front ends around. So I have a front end for both the 67 and the 65. I have a 67 hood. This is my birdcage pile, fiberglass pile. This is the floor for this car. This girl's just patiently waiting to go home. I have this rear clip I got from Hunter whenever I did his 63 Corvette. That's the original clip that'll donate some parts that are missing on the passenger side, but this one is in much better shape. It has a taillight panel. The deck is nice. Just needs a few repairs here and there, but overall it's pretty solid. And I have the birdcage just hanging out here. I have new rockers upstairs for it, new fiberglass rockers. I have lots and windshield pieces. So now I need to inventory what all I have here, figure out what I need to replace, but I'll start doing that after this thing goes home. And then I have my little 67 hanging out over here. I slid the rear end up to the cowl, and then I just threw the doors on it just to see what it looked like as somewhat of a car. But this one obviously looks a little more like a car than this one does. This one needs a lot more work, but I think I'm gonna just leave these guys sit here for now and work on the 67 Camaro. I have a trunk floor to replace, got to get the quarter off and get the roof off, get all this stuff done, then I'll get these two set up in their birdcage form. I really don't want to take the fiberglass off of this one. This one, it's definitely got to happen. Roadsters are a lot easier though. So I like to get these two in birdcage finish form, fiberglass done. I'm gonna kind of do those two together, and then we'll keep working on the Camaro. And by that time, I should have a chassis for this car, which I'm not gonna tell you what I got, but I'm gonna have a chassis coming for this car, and then we'll hopefully get this thing ready for Corvettes at Carlisle. I have a lot of work to do to this thing, but I have a good bit of the parts saved up to make this thing a driver and a runner. So some really cool custom touches in mind for the 67. And here's just a sneak peek of one of them. I'm in my hotel room editing this video, and I completely forgot to talk about Averys' 68 Corvette. So I wanted to say that it's not my car. It is a family friend's car, and it's going to stay in their possession. I'm just going to do some work on it to get it back on the road. But the whole plan is for it to come out in August, and we're going to do all the mechanical work, electrical, and cosmetic work that car needs to get it back on the road. I knew a few people were concerned that it was going to turn into a full restoration project, and you know, I want to make that car safe. It's a powerful car. It's got a lot of horsepower, and it needs to be treated with respect, and it needs to be as safe as it can be. So if that means that once we really look at it, start to take it apart, that it makes sense to pull the dash out, to change the wiring, to pull the body off, to do the brake lines, and to change the springs and all the bushings and stuff, and that's what we'll do. I don't want to, you know, try to keep the car quote unquote original and leave the original bushings in it if it's going to sacrifice safety, especially on a car like that. And who knows, that one of the reasons it could have been parked was maybe it had some bushings that were worn out as well. I mean, it was parked in '92, and it's been quite a while since then. So I think that car's going to be in good hands. We're going to take care of it. We're going to make sure it gets what it needs, and we're not going to cut any corners just to keep that thing, you know, on the frame or whatever. We're going to do what it takes to make it right. So you'll see that car later this year. Not sure how fast of a pace that car will be, because I'm still going to be trying to build my 67. Hopefully it's done by then, but something tells me I'll still be working on that. We'll still be working on the Camaro, and that little blue 65. The plans are always evolving for that thing. The owner has some big plans for it, so we'll see what we finally end up on doing. But that thing's going to be a little bit of a long-term project as well. So there'll be some builds. I know a lot of people have been talking about what happens to the cars after they leave, and you know, because you've only seen shells being built, but I think you're going to see 3 cars that are going to be done in various states. But one will be almost running, one will be running and driving, and one, you know, the Overkill 67, you're not going to want to miss that. I'll just say that. So I think you guys are going to enjoy it, and I'll get back to the regular scheduled program. But that's going to do it for this video. If you enjoyed, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. I have a lot to do on these projects, including the Overkill 67, the red, blue, green 65 over there, my dad's 67 Camaro, and Averys' 68 Corvette. So I'll catch you guys later.